When I finally escaped the script of this world, I heard my wife and daughter say, "Mom is so great. We finally don't have to pretend and act with Dad anymore. I want Uncle Florentino to move in with us, to live openly." My wife, Lisa, nodded, with a look of determination I had never seen in her eyes. "Yes, we don't need Dad anymore." My daughter happily spun around, clapping her hands and cheering. I turned around and threw the gift I had planned to give them into the trash can. Since they didn't need it, I didn't need it either. Holding the customized cake box, I stood outside my daughter's room. The thin door couldn't block the conversation inside. "Mom, I won't get sick anymore, right?" Selena's clear voice rang out. Lisa replied with rare tenderness. "Everything is over. There won't be any more unexpected incidents. And you won't get sick without reason." "What about Uncle Florentino?" Selena asked eagerly. "It was all Dad's fault. Making Uncle Florentino only able to secretly visit us. If it weren't for Dad, we wouldn't have to do things we don't like. Mom could also be with Uncle Florentino properly. So now that the plot is over, can you divorce Dad?" My hand unconsciously tightened. The ribbon on the gift box cut deeply into my skin. Inside was the fondant cake that I had ordered a month ago. The design Selena always yearned for. The room was silent for a moment. Lisa seemed to think before she spoke softly. "Yes, I will divorce your father. Today is your birthday. After a few days, I will talk to him." Selena's joyous cheers emanated from the gap under the door, while my entire body went cold. 8 years ago, to save my severely injured wife and daughter, I agreed to the system's condition. Entering this bizarre virtual world, I had to live strictly according to the script for 8 years. Until the story concluded. If I deviated from the script, the system would punish me. Minor punishment meant falling ill. Severe punishment meant having an accident, being forcibly removed from the world. Only by keeping the plot flowing smoothly could I accumulate enough points to help my wife and daughter recover in the real world. I wasn't a good host. From meeting Lisa at 25, to marrying at 30, and having our daughter Selena, everything was fraught with difficulties. It was hard to get close to the end. But Lisa grew to despise me. I started falling ill frequently, so severely that I couldn't work. And Selena, the daughter in this world, was also implicated, suffering 1/10 of my pain. Watching my daughter cry day and night, her small body growing thinner, my heart felt like it was being cut by a knife. I desperately confessed the existence of the system to Lisa. "If you leave, I will die. And Selena will also die. Only when the script ends will we be free." At that time, there were still 5 years until the end. Lisa reluctantly stayed by my side. Sometimes we argued, usually because both Selena and I felt ill simultaneously. She blamed me. I felt guilty towards my daughter. But my daughter was always obedient, eating meals and taking medicine on time. We gradually grew closer. A few days ago, the system announced the story's conclusion. I was overjoyed, and quickly told Lisa, "From now on, we are free from the system's control. We can live freely." I could leave this world to return to reality. But I couldn't bear to leave my daughter alone. So I planned to stay a few more years until she grew up before leaving. But reality dealt me a painful blow, crushing all good illusions. I turned around, threw the gift box into the trash can, pushed the door open and walked in. "I agree to the divorce," I said coldly. Looking at Selena, I tried to restrain my anger. "Selena, Dad didn't know you liked Uncle Florentino so much. Nor did I know you always hated being Dad's daughter. Dad was wrong for letting you suffer the consequences of the system's punishment." A look of shame and resentment flashed across Selena's small face. She still didn't know how to lie or hide her emotions. She lifted her neck, challenging me. "Dad was eavesdropping. Dad is a jerk. I don't like you because you're a bad person." Even though I was mentally prepared, hearing those words directly from my daughter's mouth, my heart still ached. Lisa was momentarily stunned, but didn't refute. She remained silent for a moment and then just nodded softly. "Selena has been lying to you for so long. I apologize. I will have the lawyer prepare the divorce papers. We can settle the compensation however you wish. Let's just end this quickly. I owe Florentino too much. I can't wait any longer." Selena snorted loudly, following up with a raised voice. Me too. Uncle Florentino is clearly so nice. But Dad always hates him. I don't need a dad like you. My heart went cold. Years ago, Florentino had repeatedly and secretly tried to sabotage my life, even almost costing Selena's life. Even if the system hadn't required it, I had planned to eliminate him to protect my daughter. I thought I had succeeded. Now I realize, I was deceived. Warning. A major deviation detected. In character settings during the script's final stage. Please correct the error within 7 days. Otherwise, the system will forcibly terminate. The warning and a deafening ringing exploded in my head. I clutched my head in pain. The script wasn't over? What's happening? I quickly called the system. The machine voice was steady. Apologies, host. It seems we were both deceived. Plot monitoring relies on the host's perspective. There has never been a case where a character successfully deceived the system before. This is our oversight. However, due to the system's delay in detecting the anomaly, we will bear part of the responsibility. If the script cannot be restored within the next 7 days, you will still receive the bonus points. I breathed a slight sigh of relief. When I regained consciousness, Lisa and Selena were looking at me nervously. They knew. Whenever I zoned out like that, I was communicating with the system. The system appeared again? Didn't the script end? Lisa asked, her voice slightly anxious. It won't punish Selena and Florentino, right? Selena also covered her mouth with her hand, her eyes darting around in panic. I swallowed the words I was about to say, waiting for a moment, seeing that the mother and daughter showed no concern for me, only worrying about others. I suddenly burst out laughing. My smile was truly bitter. That's right, Selena, happy birthday. Your birthday gift is the freedom Dad gives you. I decided to abandon fixing the plot. I just had to wait 7 more days. After the system reports an error and the plot fails, I would be forced to leave this virtual world. Looking at the shocked faces of Lisa and Selena, an unprecedented feeling of resolution rose within me. 8 years of effort, in that moment, vanished into thin air. Lisa clearly couldn't wait any longer. She bypassed the 30-day cooling-off period for divorce, choosing to file for divorce directly. After receiving the divorce certificate, I packed a few sets of clothes, preparing to leave the house. Before going, I couldn't help but ask Selena, if you don't see Dad anymore, will you be sad? Selena was intently looking at her tablet, not bothering to look up. Are you pulling this trick again, Dad? Didn't you use this trick before to drive Uncle Florentino away and force Mom to stay with you? Are you trying to use that method to tie me down now? My whole body trembled slightly. It was true that I once said, if the plot deviates too far, I will disappear. But I never said that the entire world would collapse too. According to the rules, the host and the characters should support each other. But for fear of putting pressure on Lisa and the girl, I had kept that truth a secret. Selena, I'm sorry. Dad shouldn't have said those things. I whispered. But this time, Dad really has to go. You're so annoying, Dad. Selena suddenly threw the tablet straight at me. Her small face was full of irritation. Go then, go, who needs you to stay? I couldn't dodge in time and was hit on the forehead. A surge of emotions overwhelmed me. I clutched my forehead, a sudden dizziness washed over me. Everything before my eyes gradually blurred. The plot had deviated once again. I took a deep breath, trying to reach out and pat her head. But Selena dodged to the side, continuously staring at the screen. I sighed. All right, anyway, you still have Uncle Florentino. He will take care of you. Stepping out of the house, I stood by the road waiting for a taxi. A commercial vehicle sped towards me, stopping beside me. The window lowered, revealing a handsome face. Florentino, Lisa's lover, her first love. According to the original script, as the substitute male lead, I had to eliminate his influence, making Lisa truly fall in love with me. But clearly, I had failed. Instead, I was deceived by the two of them together. Long time no see, Daniel. Florentino gave a radiant smile, holding up his hand to show off a wedding ring. Lisa and I are getting married the day after tomorrow. Remember to attend. Looking at the familiar ring, my heart skipped a beat. When I married Lisa, I had to wear that ring, as required by the system. But she complained it was simple, unworthy of her. I thought it was a small matter and broke the script. Wearing the pair of rings she chose herself. The next day, I was punished. I got into a car accident on the way to the company and was hospitalized for a whole week. At the time, I was very confused. It was just a different style of ring. Why was the punishment so severe? Thinking back now, I understand. That ring was an important plot item. It wasn't that the ring was unworthy of me, but that I was unworthy of it. Congratulations, I said indifferently. My vision suddenly swayed. The familiar dizziness hit me again. At this rate, perhaps even before 7 days, I would be forcibly removed from this world. Did I hear you threatened her with disappearing again? Florentino scoffed. The plot is over. Don't you find those words ridiculous? I didn't answer. After all, everything was beyond saving. This world was about to collapse. Day 6 of the countdown. I didn't rent a house anymore, but moved into a presidential suite in a 5-star hotel. Since I was waiting for the end, I might as well enjoy a little. As I was watching the news about Lisa's wedding on TV, the system rang out. Hello host, the system has begun plot monitoring. I gave a faint reply, turned off the TV, and opened my phone. All financial channels were reporting on the Century Alliance between two major corporations. They were clearly so eager that they wanted the whole world to witness it. The host needs to witness the wedding in person for the system to finalize the plot evaluation. I raised an eyebrow. No wonder I haven't had any good luck today. System, are you my father or something? The system was silent for a moment. The system will apply for an upgrade. But without me, I'm afraid with the host's abilities, you would have been eliminated long ago. I was left speechless by that line. The machine voice spoke again, this time with a slight hesitation. Host, please quickly attend the wedding. Very soon, you will be able to leave this world. Day 5 of the countdown. I wore a neatly tailored dark blue suit and stepped into the wedding hall on the highest floor of the skyscraper in the city center. The weather was clear, the view unobstructed. The setting was luxuriously decorated, typical of a commercial elite's paradise. The system worried I would feel uncomfortable, suggesting I wear sunglasses to avoid the eyes of acquaintances. I smiled faintly and shook my head. I chose a seat in the front row, silently waiting for the ceremony to begin. From this angle, I could clearly see the expressions of Lisa and Florentino. Host, the system has said a bit too much today. I smiled softly. It's okay, don't worry about me. The truth is, they never cared about me anyway. More accurately, I feel relieved now. Sad? Certainly there was sadness. But deep down, I yearned to return to the real world. Thinking so, I picked up the napkin on the table, gently wiped the corner of my mouth, preparing to smile, to bid farewell to everything. In just a few movements, I folded a simple stock connection diagram. Every time my daughter threw a tantrum, I would tell her a story to calm her down. Luckily, I still maintained that skill at least. I held up the paper, looking at the lines on it. Suddenly, a familiar voice rang out behind me. Dad, why are you here? I turned around, seeing Selena wearing a pink princess dress. I instinctively wanted to reach out, but my hand stopped halfway and retracted. Selena looked at me warily, her small hand tightly gripping the hem of her dress, innocently saying, Dad, you didn't come here to stop Mom and Uncle Florentino from getting married, did you? The surrounding guests collectively turned to look at us. I smiled. Selena misunderstood. Your Uncle Florentino invited me to attend his wedding with your mother. Selena was stunned, seeming not to expect me to say that. She scratched her head, then noticed the paper in my hand. Dad, what is that? She reached out to take it. I avoided her and gently pushed her away. Selena, this is not a toy, don't just grab it. Selena widened her eyes, stubbornly lunging forward. Dad, I want to see that. I held the paper up, but it was snatched away by someone from behind. I turned my head to look. It was Lisa, wearing a silver-white wedding dress, who had appeared behind me at some point. She looked down at the paper, then looked up at me, her eyes cold. Daniel, using these petty tricks to win over Selena, how low? I frowned, stood up, and snatched the paper back from her hand. You're overthinking it, I said coldly. This is what I folded for my real daughter in the real world. Lisa was taken aback, then chuckled scornfully. Daniel, are you losing your mind? One moment you say you're going to disappear. And now you're making up a whole, real-life daughter. Next, are you going to say you have a real wife? And that if I insist on staying with Florentino, you'll disappear and return to your real family? She burst out laughing, as if she had discovered something ridiculous. You really are getting better at making up stories. Don't worry, you're not going anywhere in this life. You can only stand and watch me, Florentino, and Selena live happily together. I didn't answer, just quietly sat back down. Lisa held Selena's hand, glanced at me, and left. The murmurs around me grew louder. I lowered my head, remaining silent, waiting for the ceremony to begin. Florentino, in a sleek black suit, walked out. Seeing me, he smiled politely and nodded. And Lisa looked at him with eyes full of adoration. To the sound of warm music, Florentino knelt on one knee, proposed to Lisa, then kissed her passionately. The warning sound in my head was deafening, nearly tearing my brain apart. Warning, warning. The plot is about to collapse. Host is required to correct immediately. Otherwise, the system will forcibly remove the host from this world. I ignored the warning, leaned back in my chair, and focused on Lisa's face. She was usually a restrained person. Even when she loved me deeply, she never showed such a satisfied, happy expression. I kept thinking, unable to understand. But emotions are inherently the most difficult thing to explain. Perhaps that is precisely why the system needed a real person to experience this script. Host, the degree of plot deviation is close to the limit. If you continue, you could be forcibly removed at any moment. I softly replied, The system reminds you again, if you have anything left to say. Anything to do. Now is the last chance. I looked at the radiant smiles on Lisa's and Selena's faces, slowly letting go of my final lingering attachment. Nothing to say. Nothing to do. When the time comes, just take me away. The wedding entered its most touching moment. Florentino opened the ring box, it was empty. Immediately after, his sharp gaze fixed on me. Lisa frantically shouted, Stop the music, where is the ring? The guests simultaneously turned to look at me. Suspicious eyes seemed to pierce right through me. Selena was the first to react, her young voice ringing out. I was holding the flower basket near Dad just now. Lisa's expression darkened. Daniel, stop playing games, hand over the ring. Florentino tried to stay calm. It's okay, I'm sure Daniel is just joking with us. In reality, I no longer had the slightest bit of strength to stand up or argue back. But my indifference made Lisa completely enraged. Daniel, I knew it, you're lying again. Lisa quickly stepped toward me, gripping my arm tightly. Attending the wedding was just an excuse, wasn't it? You came here to ruin my wedding with Florentino. Daniel, you're truly repulsive. I tried my hardest, but could only reluctantly manage a bitter smile. Selena also ran over, her small hands continuously hitting my leg. Bad dad, you came to make trouble again. You always make others sad. Always ruin everything. I don't need you anymore. Go away. Following the girl's scream, the entire world suddenly paused. The pain, the dizziness, even my sadness. Everything vanished. The space froze. Everyone stood still as if flash frozen. Warning. The plot has collapsed. Host Daniel will be removed from the world within 5 seconds. The mechanical voice rang calmly in my head. I quietly watched my consciousness gradually separate from my body. Lisa's hand was still tightly clutching my arm, so much so that her fingers were red. If time hadn't stopped, I would have been in great pain. Selena, like an angry small beast, her face flushed, grinding her teeth, her small fist raised to hit my leg. Excitement flashed in Florentino's eyes. He stood on the high platform looking down at this chaotic scene. The inside pocket of his suit jacket was slightly bulging, and I suddenly understood. So the ring had been with him all along. It was indeed the safest way to hide it. Who would suspect the groom of hiding the ring himself? I looked around distractedly, catching glances of contempt and disgust. Half a lifetime spent here. Unloved by my wife. Misunderstood by my daughter. I was indeed a complete failure. I sighed. But I truly tried my best. I closed my eyes, opened them, and closed them again. When I opened them once more, I gritted my teeth and asked, "System, what's going on? Why am I still here? It feels like my soul is trapped." "Host, please wait a moment." The system's voice rang out. "There's an error again. Due to the speed of the plot collapse being too fast, 4 days earlier than anticipated. The exit channel hasn't been fully prepared," I said irritably. "Don't tell me I have to go back into that body again." "No, you won't. For once, the system sounded reliable. You will only exist in spirit form for a maximum of 1 day. During this time, the system grants you free movement." "Thank you." "You're welcome. Oh, and please remember to give the system a 5-star rating." Its voice gradually faded. In a flash, I was suspended in midair. The frozen world slowly resumed movement. The clamor of noise flooded back, Lisa's cold face, Selena's shout, and Florentino's sneer, all came vividly back to life. "Daniel," Lisa straightened up, her voice full of tension. Having lost consciousness, my body immediately slumped down. Lisa quickly supported my waist. "Don't pretend anymore, Daniel." She squeezed my arm tightly, as if trying to squeeze me awake. "What more do you want? Please, stop tormenting Selena and me." Selena stopped hitting, looking at me blankly. She didn't understand adult matters. Just felt that I was suddenly too quiet, something felt wrong. Seeing my lack of reaction, she hesitantly poked my thigh with her finger. That was a secret between father and daughter. Whenever I pretended to sleep, she would poke me like that. I was ticklish, and just a light touch would make me laugh. But this time, no matter how much she poked, I lay still, my eyes tightly shut. "Something's wrong. Something's wrong." Selena was frightened, grabbing her mother's dress. "Mom, my dad." "Shut up," Lisa snapped. "It's all because I spoiled your dad too much. It made him think he could pull this trick anytime." "Daniel, you love to pretend, don't you? Then keep pretending. I'm not playing with you anymore." She coldly let go. She thought I was still pretending. That my survival instinct would make me wake up before falling. But I was no longer in that body. My body crashed to the ground. My head hit hard, bouncing up and falling down again, utterly pathetic. I watched the scene, and even felt a little sorry for myself. What a poor way to leave. People around began to shout. Some called for a doctor, called the police. Some raised their phones to film, as if afraid of missing the breaking news. Lisa's face still held the expression of, "I know this trick all too well." When Selena lunged onto me, crying hysterically, "Dad," Lisa's expression remained unchanged. Even when Florentino rushed over to check my breathing, her face was still the same, cold, empty. It wasn't until someone shouted, "I think he's dead. Does anyone know first aid?" that Lisa looked down at me for the first time. The private medical team quickly arrived, carrying me and Selena, who had cried herself unconscious, away. Lisa remained standing in place. The doctor asked, "Are there any family members who want to accompany us?" No one answered. So, they left. I hovered above, hesitating. I didn't know whether to follow the ambulance or stay here, where Lisa stood still, her face chillingly emotionless. No one dared to approach her. Even Florentino didn't step forward. Gradually, the guests dispersed. It was only then that Lisa seemed to snap out of it. I drifted in front of her, watching curiously. That familiar face, still heartbreakingly beautiful after 8 years. But in her eyes was an extra layer of sorrow that I couldn't comprehend. "What are you sad about, Lisa?" "Perhaps because I kept clinging to you, refusing to let go. Clearly, I was just a hired business partner. Even a subordinate. Yet, in the end, I stubbornly intruded into your life. Initially, I clumsily tried to approach, pretending to, accidentally, meet, collaborating on work, thinking myself smart by flaunting my talents. But Lisa only gave a cold, scornful smile, mocking me for doing useless things. And yet, she still agreed to act with me until the very end. There was a time when I naively thought I had truly touched her heart. But then Florentino appeared. From then on, Lisa gradually distanced herself from me. Especially after I proactively told her about the existence of the system. Between her and me, overnight, an invisible wall was erected. I tried hard to break down that wall, but she only reinforced it further. Even Selena, the daughter I had truly raised for 7 years, enduring so much hardship and affection, eventually began to doubt my feelings. Perhaps today's outcome is exactly what the mother and daughter had been hoping for. Selena is still young. She's only afraid of losing Florentino. A little comforting and the girl will be fine. But why isn't Lisa happy? I floated closer to her face. Her eyelids drooped slightly, stained with tears. Her lips trembled, as if trying to smile, yet also about to burst into tears. After a while, she whispered, "Daniel, this time, is it real?" "No, no way. You must be lying to me again." She suddenly looked up, like a mad person, frantically grabbing her car keys and running straight to the parking lot. When she arrived at the private clinic, the doctor had just confirmed my brain was dead, with no chance of recovery. Selena woke up, crying and repeatedly sobbing. "I won't let Dad go. Dad, don't disappear." The nurses tried to comfort the girl, but upon hearing that I had died, and remembering the girl had earlier said, "I wish Dad would disappear," their faces suddenly became extremely awkward. No one knew how to comfort the mother and daughter anymore. When Lisa appeared, Selena looked as if she had found a savior. Running quickly to hug her, bursting into tears. "Mom, they won't save Dad. They said Dad is dead. It must be because Mom and I were naughty. So Dad died, right, Mom?" Lisa's eyes were blazing red. Her face was stiff, as if she couldn't believe what she heard. She pushed past everyone, rushing into the emergency room. I was lying motionless on the cold bed. The doctor shook his head, placing a hand on her shoulder. "Please restrain your grief." But she refused to believe. Gripping the doctor's wrist, her voice trembling. "Impossible, he has the system. How could he die so easily?" The doctor looked at her more closely, patiently asking, "The system, what is that?" Lisa froze. "It's the system. Only when I no longer love him. Can he die?" The doctor's expression became strange. He cautiously took 2 steps back. "So, do you still love him?" Lisa lowered her head, not answering. The doctor seized the opportunity, shrugging off her hand, moving further away. "Are you the patient's family member? The patient has been confirmed deceased. Please make arrangements for the funeral soon." Lisa glared, terrified. "No, you don't understand me. The system, do you know it? Only when I..." The doctor finally lost his patience. Since the rescue, he had been briefly told about the situation at the wedding. Seeing her distraught state, he felt extremely uncomfortable. "Ma'am," his voice cooled. "I don't know what system you're talking about. But as far as I know, the deceased died right at your wedding with someone else." Having said that, he quickly turned away. Lisa remained rigid, staring intently at me. Then suddenly burst into laughter. "Daniel, all right. You really scared me this time. I concede you win. I won't marry Florentino anymore. Okay? Can you wake up now?" She walked over to me, gently lifting my face. "Hey, system, I know you can hear me. Let Daniel come back. Selena can't lose her father." But no one replied to her. Lisa muttered to herself for a long time, immersed in her own world, still unable to believe I was truly dead. I floated out of the patient room, feeling bored. Selena sat huddled in a chair, hugging a pillow and sobbing. Florentino had changed his clothes and rushed over. He sat down next to the girl, gently hugging her. "Uncle Florentino." Selena looked up, sobbing and throwing herself into his arms. "Dad is dead. What should I do?" Florentino's expression was momentarily complex. He patted her back gently, whispering, "Don't be afraid, Uncle will be here for you." Selena lifted her tear-stained face. "Uncle Florentino, I just remembered. Dad never touched the ring box. You told me to take the ring box to Dad. So the lost ring wasn't Dad's fault." Florentino's body stiffened. He awkwardly avoided her gaze. "Yeah, Uncle believes your dad was innocent." But Selena wouldn't let up. "But Dad is dead. Just because Mom and I didn't believe Dad." I looked at the girl and sighed. Compared to Lisa, Selena was more sensitive, more delicate. It's just a pity that the girl was still too young and was easily misled by adults. "Selena, What are you saying? Florentino forced a strained smile. Dad was killed by me, Mom, and Uncle Florentino. Selena stared at him, her voice full of obstinacy. Florentino's face immediately fell. He noticed people around were watching. Whispering about Selena. Florentino immediately raised his voice, trying to suppress the child's crying. Your dad had a sudden heart attack, it was a sudden death. How could you say it was Uncle's fault? But Selena was not one to back down under pressure. She pushed him away forcefully, falling to the ground. Then shrieked piercingly. Uncle Florentino told me to go provoke Dad, that's why Dad died. Uncle Florentino, Mom, and I, the three of us know. As long as we stop loving Dad, he will die. The child's voice was clear yet resounding, piercing straight through the space. Those who were standing tucked away in the corner, pretending to look at their phones, were stunned, and unanimously turned to look at Florentino. Florentino reached out to cover Selena's mouth. But it was too late. Selena burst into loud tears. We killed Dad, Dad is dead. Florentino cursed under his breath. He had warned Lisa. Never tell the child about the system. How could such an emotional child help them trick the system? But Lisa insisted that Selena was sensible. And moreover, a child's words were more easily believed by others. So he agreed. Later, he even secretly rejoiced. Because Selena, the child Daniel had raised for 7 years, had become the knife that stabbed her own father in the back. A fatal stab, coming from his own flesh and blood. The more he thought about it, the more Florentino found it interesting. But he didn't expect Daniel to die so quickly. Even dying right at his wedding. It was unlucky to the point of being laughable. However, looking closely, it was still a good thing. At least from now on, he wouldn't have to worry about dealing with Daniel. And wouldn't need to care about that so-called system. As long as he handled the relationship with Selena properly, his future life would be bright and full of opportunities. Selena, please lower your voice. Florentino tried to soften his tone, saying quietly, you know, no one will believe that there's anything called a system in the world. Selena's crying abruptly stopped. Her eyes became vacant, distant, and despairing. Selena was like a wounded small animal, abandoned in a cold world. I flew to her, wanting to reach out and stroke her head. But my hand passed right through her body. My Selena. Even as a spirit, I still felt a sharp pain in my heart. As night fell, Lisa took Selena home. Florentino went with them. The driver drove in silence. Selena, tired from crying, fell asleep in her mother's arms. Florentino intended to say something. But Lisa closed her eyes, clearly unwilling to respond. Upon arrival, Florentino stood outside the door, watching her carry Selena into the house. Come in. Lisa's voice was cold. A glimmer of joy flashed in Florentino's eyes. He followed her inside. The maid took Selena, carrying her upstairs. Only the two of them remained in the living room. I'm sorry, I didn't expect things to turn out like this. Florentino spoke first. The mission was clearly completed. So why? Lisa lay on the sofa, rubbing her forehead. Florentino continued. This has hurt Selena too much. She keeps thinking we killed Daniel. But the mission is over, isn't it? Perhaps it was just a coincidence. Lisa closed her eyes, softly saying, before the divorce, there were times when Daniel looked out of control. Selena and I suspected the system had appeared again. But we both ignored it and decided to confront him directly. Florentino paused. But Selena is fine. If the system was truly punishing him, she should have been affected too. Lisa covered her face with her hand, her voice trembling. I don't know why. I just wanted to escape the system's control. Wanted to be free to choose just once. Just once, and Daniel died. Florentino gently moved closer, reaching out to take her hand. Don't blame yourself. Maybe it was just a coincidence. A coincidence? Lisa lowered her hand, laughing through her tears. No way, Florentino. I reviewed the cameras at the ceremony. It was all clearly recorded. Daniel stayed in the same spot from beginning to end. There's no way he took the ring. Florentino was silent. He didn't expect Lisa to investigate so thoroughly. I thought Lisa would immediately assume I was playing tricks. But what did being free to choose just once mean? I truly didn't understand. From beginning to end, I only said that I would be punished, but never told her it was directly related to her. Lisa has always been an independent, strong person, never bound by emotion. So I always thought that her staying with me was because she loved me. But now, Lisa is saying that those choices were all forced decisions. Love is voluntary. Not loving is what must be forced. I was confused. I asked the system, "Can I view Lisa's favorability rating?" The system quickly replied, "In principle, no. But in reality, the maximum score is 100. And the host has received 99 favorability points from Lisa." I gave a faint laugh. Impossible. Look at her. Is that the look of 99 points? Is this another system error? The system was silent for a long time, and finally replied, "This is precisely why humans are needed to experience the script. Because human emotions are too complex. Even the most advanced system cannot fully comprehend them." I sighed, losing all interest. But then, it seemed I could finally understand Lisa's state of mind. She is an arrogant, confident person. Yet she was in love with someone bound by the system. A person who was forced to be with her. On one hand, Lisa wanted to follow her heart, to be with the person she loved. On the other hand, her self-respect dictated she did not want that kind of unwilling, unchosen love. Lisa wanted to love me but resisted loving me. Conflicted, torn, in ceaseless agony. Late at night, even though Florentino pleaded again and again to stay, Lisa firmly told him to leave. After sitting alone in the living room for a long time, she went upstairs, to Selena's room. 3 days ago, in this room, Lisa and I had a fierce argument. Now I was dead. She walked to the bedside. Selena wasn't there. She called the maid and asked. The maid quietly said, "The young mistress refuses to sleep in this room anymore." She said, "It's because she spoke ill of Master Daniel here. So Master was sad and died. The young mistress is sleeping in Master's room now." Lisa then walked to my room. She rarely entered here. It was dark, the lights weren't on. But in the dim light, everything became strangely clear. The glass of water on the nightstand. The drawer not fully closed. The tie draped over the back of the chair. Everything was still intact. "Daniel, how could you bear to leave this world? How could you abandon me?" Lisa wanted to get angry. Wanted to smash things. Wanted to vent all the fear and confusion in her heart. But in the end, she just walked to the bed, looked at Selena sleeping soundly, gently kissed the girl's cheek, then carefully pulled the blanket up. "It's Mom's fault. I am unworthy. I brought this upon myself. I must endure it." Lisa didn't want to admit it, but she truly loved Daniel. And she was the one who was afraid. Afraid that if the system no longer bound him, Daniel would leave her. Therefore, Lisa took the initiative, wanting to test how Daniel would react. But she didn't expect. Daniel genuinely didn't care. Lisa immediately agreed to the divorce, even gritting her teeth and announcing the wedding news with Florentino. And most terrifyingly, Daniel truly came to the wedding. Lisa was furious. So she held Florentino's hand, hugged his waist, even kissed him right there, swearing to be with him forever. She knew clearly Daniel was watching, still deliberately acted it out for him, until his face turned pale, and his eyes became vacant. In that moment, Lisa knew she was wrong. Wrong beyond remedy. But her pride wouldn't allow her to bow her head. She knew clearly Daniel couldn't have been the one who took the ring. But she couldn't stand on the platform for another second. Therefore, Lisa stepped down, wanting to force Daniel to speak his mind, so that she herself had an excuse to end this farce. But she once again ruined everything. The repeated tests, the repeated wounds. In the end, all pushed everything to the point of no return. Lisa regretted it to the point of madness. No one heard her repentance, and no one could forgive her. Lisa stood in front of the floor-to-ceiling window in my room, looking outside. From this angle, she could clearly see the main gate, the flower garden, and the fountain. The long chair by the window was placed there by me. Lisa sat down. It was indeed comfortable, but she didn't find it interesting at all. The scene was peaceful. Nothing special. The chair didn't face the garden or the fountain, but faced the main gate. The gate, what is there to look at? Lisa gently rocked the chair, smiling sadly. From here, I can watch us come home. Late at night, I watched Selena stubbornly sleep on my bed, and watched Lisa pace back and forth in the room, her shadow trembling in the dim light. Finally, she lay down on the long chair I usually sat on, gradually drifting into sleep. I found it quite ironic. She never set foot in my room normally. Yet when I was dead, she came. The system also seemed unable to comprehend this behavior. After a period of analysis, it emitted a ZZZT sound like a short circuit. Take a break, don't analyze anymore, I said helplessly. Is the exit path ready? Right now, the system replied. After returning, you won't be able to come back here. Understood, I replied softly. So, will this world disappear? The system started analyzing again. Mission failed, the world must be restarted. However, the system requires time for investigation, and to send an upgrade report based on the anomalies. Therefore, this world will exist for a short while longer. I hovered next to Lisa, silently looking at her profile. 8 years, and yet I didn't understand her. A complete failure. What was her so-called 99% love for me? After all, I still didn't know. I sighed softly, then flew over to Selena. The girl was sleeping restlessly, likely having nightmares. Her small brows were tightly furrowed, her lips pressed together. I wanted to smooth out those eyebrows, but I couldn't touch her. I leaned close to her ear, whispering, Selena, you're just a child. You were scared too. Dad doesn't blame you. You are forever Dad's daughter. The system remained silent. I circled the room, looking at Lisa, then looking at Selena, then lost in thought again. A few hours later, the system suddenly appeared. The exit path is ready. I looked around the familiar room one last time. Let's go. In the real world, 1 year later. I rarely recalled that virtual world. My days now revolved only around managing the company, playing with my daughter, and teasing my wife. Life was no different from any other family, simple but happy. Because I once gave the system a 5-star rating. Despite its frequent errors, it occasionally gave me a few rewards, such as coincidentally meeting important clients, signing big contracts, or slightly better health, small, unexpected joys. Despite trying to focus on the present, sometimes, I still thought about Lisa and Selena from that virtual world. That experience was like a long, unending dream, both real and illusory. But it changed the way I viewed life and love, making me appreciate what I have more. Perhaps that was the last gift that world gave me. One afternoon, as I was sipping coffee on the balcony, the system unexpectedly rang out in my consciousness. Daniel, the investigation has concluded. That world is about to be erased. I opened my eyes, softly replying, understood. Then I hesitantly asked again, How have they been living? The system was silent for a moment, then said, in principle, I shouldn't tell you. But Lisa used every means to drive Florentino abroad, and hasn't met him again for 3 years. She hasn't approached any other man. Only working, taking care of Selena, and occasionally visiting your grave. I almost choked on my coffee. The system continued. The girl Selena grieved for a long time. It took her a year to gradually accept your passing. She started living normally again. But like Lisa, she never met Florentino again. And also didn't dare to visit your grave, because she believes she caused your death. I was silent for a long time, then only let out a soft sigh. And Florentino? The system replied with a calm voice. He tried every means to return to the country. But Lisa had people monitor him. Whether he was arrested, beaten, or sedated, she absolutely would not let him come back. I remained silent, saying nothing. After a while, the system spoke. Lisa has many things she wanted to say to you. She wrote them in letters and burned them for you. Do you want to see them? They contain many things about the two of you, and also her feelings for you. I didn't need to think, I immediately refused. The system seemed not to understand. Aren't you curious? Don't you want to know why she treated you that way? Why she deceived you with Florentino? Don't you want to know what her 99% love is? I continued to shake my head. The system's voice was full of doubt. Human emotions are truly strange. I thought Lisa didn't love you at all. But in fact, she did love you. I assumed you would be unwilling. Would want a clear answer. But unexpectedly, you don't care. It's very strange. I gave a faint smile. What's strange about it? The system asked again. Daniel, why don't you need that answer? I organized my thoughts and slowly said. For you. The most important thing is definition and judgment. But humans are not purely rational. We are emotional beings. I don't know what Lisa was thinking. Or how she loved me. But in that world, I genuinely felt the feeling of being unloved and the pain. So, I already have my answer. That was not love. At least, not the kind of love I desired. And if it's not what I want, then I can let go. Why seek proof for something you don't need? It's very simple, isn't it? The system remained silent for a long time. Finally saying, love is love. Not loving is not loving. But I still don't understand. I smiled softly. First and foremost, love should be a happy thing. Even if I search for the answer and discover that Lisa truly loved me. So what? I was still miserable. To the point where everyone could see I was not happy at all. If so, can a love that causes so much pain still be called love by your definition? The system fell silent again. I repeatedly refused to look at the new letters it wanted me to read. It seemed very interested in my reaction. But I remained unmoved. Finally, the system gave up. However, it deemed my attitude of refusal to be highly research-worthy. As a reward, it promised to continue helping me a little, to make my life proceed more smoothly. Time flew by. In the blink of an eye, a year had passed. The system said it had just completed a major upgrade. After that, it finally understood one thing. The Daniel in the virtual world is dead. And the real world you is still alive. The burdens from that world should no longer be imposed upon you. The system apologized and granted me several special privileges. So many that they made me worry if I would live to be 200 years old. A few more years passed. The system became busy with other missions, very rarely appearing anymore. I was very satisfied with my current peaceful life. One day, I stood by the company's glass window, looking at the city skyline. Suddenly, I saw a familiar figure, Lisa. She was standing on the rooftop of the building opposite, her gaze seemingly directed straight at me. In that moment, I suddenly realized. It turned out that in this world, our roles had been swapped. I became the successful one, and she was the host in the virtual world. I smiled, turned around, and walked away. Regardless of which world, or which identity, I had understood. True love is what makes both people happy. And now, I have found the happiness that belongs to me. Returning to my office, I texted my wife. I'll be home early tonight. Let's have dinner with you and our daughter. Putting my phone down, I looked at the family photo on the desk. A warm feeling surged in my heart. The years are long and arduous. But life is short. As long as one knows how to cherish the person in front of them and live fully in the present. Every day is worth loving.